This week on Spoke TV, Tinder seems to accomplish more than just rating others.
She obviously sees something about me that's crazy cool, because she's a babe.
We talk concussions and their effects.
It's very hard to tell when someone is not feeling right or if someone is not healthy and not able to perform.
And we explore a change that Conestoga has made in its funding.
Students now who are receiving OSAP don't have to pay their tuition until the first week of September.
I'm Candace Agunde.
And I'm Paula Sierra. And this is Spoke TV, your source for weekly local news brought to you by second-year broadcast journalism students at Conestoga College.
Incidents of sexual violence and harassment are continuing to increase in society. Of every 100 incidents of sexual assault, only 6 are reported to the police. The Ontario government is actively working to end both. Reporter Sarah George gives us more.
1 in 3 women in Canada will experience sexual assault, according to Stats Canada. And to the Ontario Liberals, it's never okay. Last week, Premier Kathleen Wynne unveiled her 3-year, $41 million plan to crack down on sexual assault. One of its first steps will be an advertising blitz to create awareness and increased funding for the province's sexual assault centres. Sarah Castleman from the Sexual Assault Support Centre of Waterloo Region says they've been operating on 60% of the budget they used to have.
And I found out that we have 60% of the per capita funding now that we did 20 years ago. So for communities that have been growing, like Waterloo Region, and also just basic things like inflation, we really need an infusion of funds to serve our community.
They also want to focus on post-secondary campuses, which are often viewed as places where sexual assault thrives and goes unreported. Kitchener Centre MPP Diane Verneil says they want to visit communities to try and find the root cause of this so-called rape culture so they can combat it.
We want kids at a young age, both boys and girls, to talk about what a healthy relationship looks like. So I have a daughter who's 21, she's in her 3rd year at the University of Waterloo, and she said to me, "Mom, you have no idea what guys are like these days when you're on a date or at a party, how they behave. So where are young men learning about proper behavior on how to treat a woman? What is a good relationship?"
One of the biggest reforms Wynne says the Liberals have in store is extending the statute of limitations on sex crimes from 2 years. They don't have a set number yet because they're still working the logistics out. They're also looking to making a prosecution that's tailored more towards a comfortable environment for survivors to come forward and tell their stories in court. Wynne says for this to be successful, the entire province has to work together. For Spoke TV, I'm Sarah George.
Thanks, Sarah. And now locally, the Waterloo region is currently 13th in the country in prospective real estate housing. Nora Mesaros tells the best housing investment opportunities in the area.
Kitchener-Waterloo's seemingly constant tech expansion also means changing dynamics for the region's housing growth.
Employment and migration within the Waterloo region continue to support housing demands. Most notably, we're going to see that this spring with the development of our light rail transit system, which already has real estate investors moving in from the GTA.
Jeff Gingrich from Century 21 explains where the best investment opportunities are right now in the Waterloo region.
There are a number of great options in the downtown Kitchener, and primarily concentrated around the coming transportation hub, and of course Google and the Bright Up block.
Geraldine Mahood says KW's unemployment rate runs at 1% less than the national rate. According to her, the region's diverse economy helps boost the real estate market.
Statistics are showing that in the last 10 years, we have a lovely steady growth of 5% appreciation value on homes. So your home's going up 5% per year, not growing at a vast rate and creating a bubble that we've seen in other regions.
The Tri-Cities are recognized as being a major player of low interest rates. According to a recent Money Sense study, Waterloo ranks as 13th in the country for prospective real estate investments. The city of Guelph is in 9th place. For Spoke TV, I'm Nora Mesaros.
From health bars to oatmeal and even ketchup, many of us don't realize how much and how often we consume this ingredient every day. Now the World Health Organization is saying that people should cut back drastically. On what? Sugar. A new WHO guideline says that adults and children should start reducing the amount of free sugars they consume a day to less than 10% of their total energy intake. For most people, this means less than 50 grams or 12 teaspoons of sugar a day. To put these numbers into perspective, a bottle of pop contains more than 15 teaspoons of free sugars. Free sugars are the monosaccharides and disaccharides that are added to food and drinks by companies. The guideline excludes sugars in fruits and vegetables.
Up next, we look at how a popular app may be hindering your ability to connect. Should women use or not use the niqab during citizenship ceremonies? The Prime Minister gave his opinion about this in the House of Commons last Tuesday, but his comment angered many and caused a spur of backlash on Twitter. Many Muslim women weren't happy to hear the Prime Minister comment, calling the wearing of a niqab a practice that,
frankly, is rooted in a culture that is anti-women.
A niqab is a full face cover veil, contrary to the hijab, which is a scarf that only covers the hair. Many mock him on Twitter by asking him if he approves their outfits, like this user saying, "When my daughter covers her face, do I need to report her to someone in your office?" Making clear that not all Canadians, like he said, oppose to face covering during citizenship ceremonies.
Swipe left if you don't like someone, or swipe right if you do. Tinder is one of the most popular smartphone apps for connecting with people. But how does it affect how we meet and judge each other? Reporter Leah Johansson tells us how this app is rewriting the rules of the dating game.
You want the real how we met or what we tell people?
Tinder is an app designed for smartphones to connect people based on their attractiveness. By swiping left, you indicate that you are physically attracted to that person. A right swipe means you are not. When two people both swipe left, they are now connected and are able to start instant messaging each other. There are two ways that apps like Tinder can present themselves as solutions for social interactions. First being they provide an instant connection that appeals to a busy lifestyle. Secondly, social networks allow us to see and know people without actually having to. Andrew Herman, communications professor at Wilfrid Laurier University, says this doesn't mean intimate relationships can't be formed.
There are intensely intimate relationships that are possible only through social media. I mean, there's a way in which kind of digital communication has afforded intimacy that just wouldn't have been possible otherwise.
Meg Gertz and Matt Sukas have been in a relationship just over a year.
I swiped right because I thought she was cute. She swiped right
because he was wearing a Laurier shirt.
Yeah.
Family Relations and Human Development PhD student Erin Watson says it can create the feeling of being highly connected while still being socially isolated.
I think that in this new kind of technologically mediated landscape, there's a fear of missing out. The immediacy of the internet, online communications, and the proliferation of people that are now available at our fingertips.
It can be difficult to distinguish quality over quantity.
So yeah, I mean, I think that there's a way in which Tinder kind of is part and parcel of a consumerist mentality.
There's an idea that if you collect more people, you have greater social worth.
Men swipe right to make a match 46% of the time, while women only swipe right 14% of the time.
There's the same needs and the same desire for connection, but they know that they risk more when they put that out there in terms of how people will treat them, in terms of their reputations, and especially in a digital age.
Online interaction can be tailored and edited to our satisfaction. We are easily able to present manicured versions of ourselves, not the authentic, messy reality that creates our identities.
Obviously, everybody has like a self-perception of themselves and how they see themselves, like attractiveness or whatever. It's a good ego boost, you know? Just, you don't even have to talk, just like, whoa, that girl swiped, yeah, she obviously sees something about me. That's crazy cool. Because she's a babe.
This is how much we are telling men and women that in order to be a viable human being, that you have to meet certain standards, and that in order to be a masculine man, you have to be associated with a woman who meets a certain standard. And when you really want to think about the future of relationships, it's not technology that is going to be the detriment or the downfall. It is going to be these highly constructed, limiting, alienating, insidious beauty ideals that tear us apart.
Technology takes a complex idea and promises to simplify it. The solution isn't necessarily to turn away from our devices, but to become aware of the way we form relationships with them and through them. We stumble, we laugh, we make mistakes, and sometimes it's the boring bits where we can learn the most from each other. For Spoke TV, I'm Leah Johansson.
Thanks, Leah. Curiosity killed the cat. Household products and even some plants in your garden can be dangerous for your pets. Kristina Zavanovic gives us the important tips you may not know that could keep your pet safe.
Animal instinct goes a long way out in the wild, but around an individual's home, there are many hidden dangers that can threaten an animal's life. The Pet Poison Helpline holds crucial information for pet owners to keep an eye on. Certain flowers like the autumn crocus, the azalea, lilies, tulips, and household products like cold and allergy medication, as well as cleaning supplies, can be toxic and even lead to death. Ontario OSPCA Inspector Gary Bowes with the Kitchener-Waterloo Humane Society comments on ways that pet owners can stay educated in order to keep their pets safe.
There's an excellent site that was just pointed out to me just before the interview from the ASPCA, that's our American equivalent, that it's an app that you can download for free on your phone, and it describes many different things that I think you're questioning, and you can look at that and go, okay, I need to get my dog to the vet.
It's more than just common items like chocolate that can threaten an animal's life. Curious cats can jump on counters that house candles or spillable products, even human medication. After being exposed, pets may show signs of weakness, vomiting, and diarrhea, which can warn an owner that something is wrong. Veterinary clinics always offer emergency services so that pet owners can get their animals immediate medical attention. The Animal Poison Control Center is open 24/7. Animals deserve the right attention and care to make sure they live a long and healthy life. For Spoke TV, I'm Kristina Zavanovic.
Up next, find out why many Conestoga students are upset that they suddenly have to come up with $500. About 3% of the commuters in Kitchener are bikers, and the city wants to double this amount. But Kitchener has recently received a very low mark in their first report by the Cycling Advisory Committee. Reporter Devin Flynn looks into what the city is going to do to improve cycling conditions.
The Cycling Advisory Committee of Kitchener gave the city a C ranking on their first report card. The committee thinks that key areas of the cycling policies, programs, and infrastructure are behind. The city came up with this report card to assess conditions for cyclists and promote cycling in the city. Fred Rissacher, a heavy commuter, thinks that although the city is trying, they need to be more proactive in their maintenance.
And most of the times those potholes are on the side of the road where bikes ride, right? And then to swerve, you have two options. Hit the curb on the right, or you can choose to hit the car on the other side.
City Councilor Yvonne Fernandez says new initiatives have been put in place to help cyclists and that our city is still further ahead than others.
So what we've dedicated to doing in the next couple of years is putting money towards connecting our trails so that you don't necessarily have to use the roadways. Trails, in essence, can actually be a lot faster than being on the road.
Although changes have been put in place to help cyclists, it seems like it'll still be a few years until the needs of cyclists are met. For Spoke TV, I'm Devin Flynn.
The Waterloo Region and Guelph Police will launch a new service that will allow those in the hearing impaired community to text 911 during emergencies. Long Nguyen tells us which day the service will begin and how will it work.
Waterloo Region Police, in conjunction with Guelph Police Services, are planning to launch Text of 911 on March 26. The new service will help members of the deaf, deafened, hard of hearing, and speech-impaired community who now will be able to contact 911 through text messaging on their phone. The new service will be an upgrade as they currently can only contact 911 through a TTY machine Information forums will be held on March 24th in Guelph and March 25th in Waterloo Region, with members of emergency services providing a presentation and answering any questions related to the new service.
Conestoga College is implementing a new fee structure effective June 2015. Instead of a deferral fee, students now must pay a flat rate up front. Reporter Jay Clayfield looks into the changes being made and how they will affect students.
A new fee structure is coming about at Conestoga College. Rather than pay a $150 deferral fee to pay by semester or pay the entire balance of one's tuition in July, new and returning students will now only be paying $500 2 weeks earlier in June. This $500 is something of a down payment to the school and lets the school know that the student will definitely be coming back next semester. This is not Conestoga's decision, but instead a change to the way colleges in Ontario in general bill their students. Paul Osborne from Conestoga's Registrar's Office explains more.
So there is no more deferral fee, and students now who are receiving OSAP don't have to pay their tuition until the first week of September, and students who are not an OSAP, they pay their tuition in the first week of August as opposed to what used to be the first week of July.
Osborne also says that an awareness campaign will soon be underway at the school to help make people conscious of the new fee structure. But what do students think?
It costs more to apply for college than it does to apply to universities.
I can't even believe actually this is happening because me as an OSAP student, I can't afford the $500. That's what they give me the OSAP for.
Despite the new fees, Conestoga maintains that they will come out of your tuition and not be a separate part of it. For Spoke TV, I'm Jay Clayfield. And now back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Jay. Experts believe 2015 is the year of their smartwatch. And with the much anticipated Apple Watch released recently, consumers are asking, why has this new watch caught so much more attention than the others? The smartwatch business is not new, but it hasn't been a big hit among customers until last week. The Apple Watch release a few days ago promises a variety of features like making calls, controlling music, and even opening your hotel room door. It has a battery life of 18 hours. Its prices range from $449 to as much as $22,000 for the luxury model. Pre-orders start April 10th. Rivals of the Apple Watch hope that if it's successful, this will boost their own wearable tech.
After the break, we meet two athletes who are helping to raise concussion awareness. And now, in sports and entertainment, here's Amanda Din.
Thanks, Candace. Downtown Kitchener is improving their look and reputation with a new campaign launched by the City of Kitchener.
#DTKLove is an 8-week campaign in an attempt to increase popularity and visitors in downtown Kitchener. Downtown Kitchener businesses such as
from Guilt Restaurant, Bar and Lounge.
Jess,
I'm the owner of the Bead Boutique in downtown Kitchener.
Post online videos and offer deals for the occasion. For each of the featured stores of the week, you can fill out a ballot and enter to win $500 downtown dollars, or at the end of the campaign, $1,000 downtown dollars. #DTKLove can be shared on all social media.
Waterloo recently hosted a sport that is rarely seen up close outside of the Olympic Games. Some of Canada's high-level competitors were in the region for the Canada Fencing Cup. Spoke TV's Leah Johansson takes a look inside the competition.
The Waterloo region was recently home to the Canada Cup fencing tournament, the largest fencing competition Canada has to offer. The competition took place March 6th to 8th and featured upwards of 500 athletes. Excelsior Fencing Club held the tournament at Bigamans Conference Centre, where over 26 matches occurred at one given time over the weekend. Communications coordinator at Excelsior Fencing, Todd Kaslick, says this is just the first step for fencing in the Waterloo region.
What we got going on here is as high a level of fencing as you're going to see in Canada. And for now, the next step might be a Grand Prix or a World Cup, which is taking it to the next level for us.
Fencing is a sport that requires speed, agility, and concentration. This tournament features fencers of all age ranges and a couple Olympian athletes.
Canadian Pan Am athlete Kelly Ryan says she has her sights set on the next Olympic Games.
Well, looking towards Rio in 2016, I'd really love to represent Canada there.
She says giving back to events like these within the community is a great way to encourage others to give fencing a try.
Well, I think it's really good for the younger girls to fence me and see what the higher level fencing can be like. I mean, I also just I think it's good to give back by refereeing, because I think it helps the sport continue.
On guard for Spoke TV, I'm Leah Johansson.
Thanks, Leah. Sports can be fun, but can also be a health risk. With the amount of contact and speed that is played, the brain becomes vulnerable to injuries. Spoke TV's Long to Win looks into the prevention behind concussions and the reality of living with them.
Is playing sports worth potentially risking when you're older in life? This is a question that many athletes face now. Jake Scooby, a student from Wilfrid Laurier and a member of Slice Laurier, a program organized by students teaching the importance of concussion awareness. And Logan Scott, a former volleyball player for Redeemer College who is currently studying at the University of Guelph. Scooby and Scott explain what they felt when they sustained their concussions.
I had a severe enough concussion where I blacked out, was unconscious for a number of minutes on the field, and upon my diagnosis at the hospital, it's a very different feeling to describe. The best way to explain it is you just don't feel like yourself. I was very dizzy, I was very out of it, I wasn't aware of what I was doing a lot of the time.
I remember feeling just in a big daze. It was like I was in a completely different world. My vision was, I remember my vision was just, it was all over the place. I felt like I was seeing duplicates and triples of everything. And I passed out again in the hospital. So after that, I woke up in the hospital bed with IV in my arm, and it was pretty scary.
They explained the lingering effects of their concussions.
Focus was very lacking. I couldn't sit down and read more than 10 pages of a textbook before I would have to take a break. And in terms of speech, I definitely noticed initially my speech was affected as well. I couldn't process what I was trying to say. My thinking process was just completely off.
I was agitated and I was grumpy for like weeks at a time, and being able to try and go back to schoolwork or try and work a part-time job and trying to go to the demands of a busy schedule being a student was very difficult, and all it created was more headaches, more issues, and more problems.
Michael Sinelli, a professor at Laurier who has researched concussions, explains how we need to treat someone with a concussion and the support we need to give them.
One of the major symptoms of a concussion is depression. And so if we treat concussed individuals like depressed individuals, what's the biggest thing that's going to help depressed individuals is being surrounded by positive influences, having that network of support of individuals who say, we care about you, we love you, and that sort of thing. And that's the same way you need to treat concussed individuals, because these are two invisible type disorders or injuries you can't really see. People don't walk around with a Band-Aid on their head saying I'm concussed, or something around them saying I'm concussed and this is how I feel. It's more internalized.
Scooby offers more insight on the goals Slice Laurier has about concussion education.
We feel it's very important to educate students, especially and younger athletes that are moving up, to change the mentality of toughness in the sport. You don't want to perform when you're not able to. And the biggest thing that we talk about within our group is when someone is injured, you can see the injury. If they have a broken leg, you can see a cast, or a broken arm, you can see a cast, and you know they're not going to perform to their best ability. Well, with a concussion being an invisible injury, it's very hard to tell when someone is not feeling right, or if someone is not healthy and not able to perform. So one of the big issues that we come across is focusing on the long-term effects of those injuries and how they can affect the entire body.
For Scott, who is concussion-free for over a year now, questions surrounding his future made his decision to give up volleyball even tougher.
Just wondering about what my future would be if I continued. Again, I'm way too young. Everyone is too young to have brain damage, but at 18, 19, it's a scary thought to have to live the rest of your life.
The decision to continue on with their careers or hang it up facing athletes is a tough one, as they put more of an emphasis on their long-term health. For Spoke TV, I'm Long to Win.
Thanks for tuning into Spoke TV. I'm Candice Lagunde.
And I'm Paula Sierra. For more news and information, check out spoketv.ca and follow us on